Wiley Vision Studio in Spokane, Washington. The Stephen James Wiley Show. Make yourselves comfortable. It's time for today's reading.
Here we go. This is a poem I wrote. I started it in July of 2023, and then I finished it on February 20th, which was 6 days ago. God, it feels like it was yesterday, but that's life. It's called The Lady by the Water, and I'm not sure what inspired this, but I just wrote the bulk of it and then did a bunch of rewrites in the days leading up to finally finishing it on the 20th. I would just want to say, and I mentioned this in another episode, but there is a joy that comes from working with words. You could probably throw it in the same category as like a woodworker, or where you're just swapping out words and rhythms and thinking, what does this word tell me, or what is it conveying? And it's so much fun, and it's wonderful to have a finished poem. If you've ever written a poem, you probably know what I mean. And if you haven't, it may be something you find enjoyable. For some of you, you're just like, Steve, I would rather stab myself in the hand with a fork. But I don't do it all that often. I used to write a lot more, but as far as like poetry. But I'm really happy to have written this. So I'm going to share it with you now. It's called The Lady by the Water. At the water's edge she waits, heart in hand, tempting fate. She heard the voice at midnight tell her to go. She rose with haste at first light to make it so. But she didn't want to wander. She wanted to know the end. There had to be a purpose, an outcome around the bend. She sat there in the quiet, with questions that would not cease, when slowly what filled her heart was the strangest sense of peace. A dense mist settled on the waters, whispering with mysterious love. She climbed aboard her little boat and gave it a certain shove. The wind rose up behind her, pushing her further from the shore. She was all at once aware that all she'd known would be no more. With one last glance to her fading past, trees casting shadows from above, she hears the voice whisper within, courageous heart, you are loved. Thank you for listening to that. Thank you for indulging me. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed writing it. We are now going to take a quick break and come back for another segment, so hang tight.
We are Flintstones kids, 10 million strong and growing.
It's a big world, and nobody knows more about helping kids grow into it than Flintstones, with all the vitamins kids need.
We are Flintstones kids, 10 million strong and growing. We are Flintstones kids, 10 million strong
Flintstones, America's favorite.
and growing.
Anybody remember that ad? 1989. I was a kid. I wanted Flintstone vitamins. I think we got them once or twice. And then we had knockoff vitamins, that didn't have cool cartoon. They probably tasted the same, but they weren't Flintstone vitamins. And did it scar me? No, I'm fine. But I always listened to the ad. I always saw the ads on TV for the Flintstone vitamins. So special. Okay, it's time. I haven't done a Boob of the Day segment in a couple weeks, maybe longer. I don't know. But I felt like it was time. I had 2 conversations in the last week. One with my buddy Carlos Jones, whom you know, and my other friend Tony Allen, whom you don't know. I keep trying to get him to come on the show, but he's bulking. He and I were going to do a show together. And then we didn't. But they both took great pains to inform me about a hot pop culture situation that's going on. So let's get fired up here with Julius Eckelman and the Frankfurt Harmonics to lead us into today's Boob of the Day segment.
I'm thinking about boobs every Saturday morning. I'm thinking about boobs even when I go to bed. I'm thinking about boobs every Saturday morning. And when I wake up, it's 'cause they're smacking me on my head.
Julius and the Boys, thank you for that glorious song. That's a song that'll ring in your mind late into the night, into the early morn. I had a friend text me who'd heard a clip of that, and he said, I cannot get that song out of my head. And I actually texted Julius about that because I thought he would appreciate that his genius is being appreciated by many. And or loathed, but we don't need to go there. I think it's great. Today's Boob of the Day goes to Blake Lively. Oh, yeah. You know, I don't know all the details. I haven't gone to the website to read all the evidence that Justin Baldoni's lawyers have put forth. But from what I've read, and I have my two friends who are very, very into the details, it's not good. It does not paint these people in a positive light, including Ryan Reynolds, who I just was kind of sold on that he was a pretty fantastic fella. And again, this is all playing out in the press, right? But the evidence, I watched like a half an hour summary of what's going on from the legal analysis people all over the YouTubes. It's not pretty. And it doesn't make her look good at all. And then you have, Taylor Swift, who's like the godparent to her children, their children. And suddenly Taylor Swift doesn't want to talk about her and is like supposedly distancing herself. It's all palace intrigue, right? These people live in the ivory tower. Like, they are the residents. We have decided they get to live there. We love that they live there. And then we have this gross thing that kicks in when we see somebody falling out the window. And that seems to be what's happening. And we can't look away. We can't stop watching. Now, I will say, I am not watching. I have looked away. But my friends keep watching, so it's the equivalent of me not looking away because they keep informing me on what's going on. But it's not pretty. I don't want to... Here's the weird thing about the whole Boob of the Day segment for me. I don't really like disparaging people, necessarily, unless they really seem like they're doing it for themselves. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, here's why Blake Lively's the Boob of the Day. Because I don't want to throw rocks at her. I don't know her. She's a child of God. But it does seem like she's done some things that are not painting her character in a great light, and also that of her husband, who I have been a longtime admirer of. And that's interesting. And I'm sure you have an opinion because we are people who have opinions. And the thing that it actually brought me to in my thought process, because I don't like to linger too long on somebody being an easy target, right? Is what does it say about human nature? What does it say about me or you? Like, these are the people at the top of the world. They make ungodly amounts of money for doing things that, yeah, it takes effort, and you got to work hard, and you do have to get lucky. But you know who gets lucky? People who work hard, more often than not. So I'm not a big disparager of people who've had good fortune smile upon them. And good fortune has smiled upon these folks. And great. I honestly didn't know much about Blake Lively at all till all this came down. But when you have an insane amount of money and power, influence, and, you know, and now the thing to do is they all just have all these other businesses that they're like, hey, you know, Mint Mobile and Flying Billy Bob's Gin or whatever his gin thing is. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's smart. It's good business. But your character will get exposed if there are enormous or even subtle flaws when you receive money and power. And what you do behind closed doors does come out. And it doesn't matter who you are. If it's me, you, the guy down the street, the lady at the grocery store, you give people money. You watch it happen with people when they win the Powerball. Every time I open Apple News, the same news story is down a ways. Like, this couple won the Powerball, and it turned out to be the worst thing that could ever happen to them. And you know what? It was. I never read the article because you have to pay for it. But it's an old story. It's just clickbait. It's true, though. People who win the lottery often end up broke because there was a reason they didn't have any money to start with. And your character, your habits, the way you function, if, you know, and this sounds like I'm like giving a seminar, and I'll stop, but it just made me think, you see, like, is there something wrong with Tom Hanks? Does he have an enormous character flaw? I don't think so. Or if he does, he is world class at hiding it. I mean, top shelf. And maybe he is. There's probably people who are horrible people who we never knew. I was just talking to my friend Tony about this because I've been watching the Vince McMahon documentary on Mr. McMahon. It's on Netflix. Not that, you know, like I ever thought like Vince McMahon was this soldier of righteousness, but I loved Hulk Hogan growing up. I still love Hulk Hogan. And yet, when I watch that documentary, I have to reconcile the reality that that guy has done stuff that is probably reprehensible in private that I do not want to know about. Or maybe not so in private, but in secret enough that I don't have to know. But I see what I want to see. And I admire that. And how many other people are there like that in the world? For me. And I hope it's not Tom Hanks, because I love Tom Hanks. I want to give him a hug. I want to play tennis with him. I want to laugh together and tell jokes. Hang out get the wives together, have a nice barbecue, you know. But anyhow, that's all I have to say about that. I want to take the rest of the show and do what I was going to do the last episode, which was dive in on some music. And I'm going to take the last portion here, and I want to talk about the band Adam Again and the founder of that band, Gene Eugene. And they were a Christian alternative rock band that, for me, was a big deal. They meant a ton to me. And that age and station in my life, I wasn't allowed to listen to secular music, so this was what I had access to. And these guys were great. They were objectively a great band, and Gene Eugene was objectively a great artist. He was also a producer, etc. And I'll dive into kind of the details of that. But I wanted to start off with this first song that they had on the Dig record. It's called Walk Between the Raindrops, kind of give you a feel for what they were about. And I hope you enjoy it.
Walk between the raindrops if you can, Lord. Tell me what kind of man makes this plan. I don't understand, it's a grand scam. Walk between the raindrops if you can, Lord. Tell me what kind of man makes this plan. I don't understand, it's a
good stuff. So let me read to you a little about Gene Eugene. This is kind of a in memory of that was written on a Facebook account called Jesus Music and Beyond in 2022. In memory of Gene Eugene H. Andrusko, singer, songwriter, producer, child actor. Gene Eugene Andrusko was born in Fort Francis, Ontario, Canada in 1961 and moved with his family to Southern California at a young age. It was there that his acting career began, first playing a young Darren Stevens on the TV show Bewitched. He went on to have parts in various TV shows and movies, including Gidget Gets Married, Jake and the Fat Man, The Bold Ones, and Cannon. He also worked as a voice actor for a few animated series, Wait Till Your Father Gets Home, The Barkleys, and The Amazing Chan and the Chan Clan. By 1982, Gene Eugene had started his musical career and in 1986 released his first album, In a New World of Time, with the band he fronted, Adam Again. Adam Again with Gene Eugene went on to record 4 more albums, 10 songs by Adam Again in 1988, Homeboys in 1990, that was how I got introduced to them, Dig in 1992, and Perfecta in 1995. During the 80s and 90s, Gene Eugene owned and operated his own recording studio, The Green Room, where he engineered, mixed, and produced hundreds of albums for countless artists, including the Aunt Betty's, Michael Knott, The Choir, Daniel Amos, Michael Knott as a solo artist. The Aunt Betty's was Michael Knott's band. The Waiting, Crystal Lewis, John Gibson. John Gibson is awesome, by the way. Plank Eye, awesome. Starflyer 59, Over the Rhine, Spaz, Undercover, Kush, and Anointed, among others. In 1987, Gene Eugene, along with Ojo Taylor and Barry Hill, founded their own record label, Brainstorm Artists International, which was the home to the 77s, Michael Knott, Undercover, Prayer Chain, and many other artists. In 1989, he recorded the album Outdoor Elvis with the Swirling Eddies, where he used the name Prickly Disco. In 1991, he and other frontmen from other bands, Terry Taylor, Daniel Amos, Mike Rowe, Derry Doherty, they formed an alt-country supergroup called the Lost Dogs, which recorded 4 albums with Gene, and those albums came out in successive years after that. In the year 2000, suddenly, Gene Eugene died, apparently in his sleep at his recording studio in the Green Room at the age of 39. He had been complaining of a headache the day before and died the next day. And Gene was the heart and soul of Adam Again as a band. But the truth is, he produced so many bands that I loved growing up. Bands that I will ultimately at some point talk about on this show. Why? Because it's my way of honoring music that honored my youth, that blessed my youth, that gave me magic. And that's what everybody has their music, and it doesn't matter what it is. It's a beautiful thing, and Gene Eugene was responsible for a lot of magic in my life as a young man. And so this is my way of saying thank you to Gene and to those who played music with Gene. God, the music he made was amazing. Here's another song. It's called Worldwide. I love this track. It was the first song, actually, I ever heard of Adam Again, and it, at the time, changed my life. I couldn't believe it. It was like, what? And I was a very sheltered guy. But even if you weren't into Christian music, you would have loved this tune. So here you go.
Worldwide. Tears on the driver's side, his head is in his hands. Voice of an angel, silence at the whim of a mere man. It's worldwide, worldwide. We all love that desert thunder. We put some sticker on our bumper. 3 billion nothings in the world. Why should anybody bother? Worldwide, worldwide. What about Headman Shabalala? Does anybody care about
Worldwide. Yeah. Man, it makes me want to find so much of the other stuff. There are other, and I'm talking other bands, the other bands that he produced. The Prayer Chain, dude, they made some records, well, 2 in particular, and the last one I think that they ever made was, it's so good, and nobody knows how good it was. And it wasn't commercial enough that it never got popular. But holy living God, it was good. It was called Mercury. A couple other notable tracks. The Perfecta record for Adam Again, the 1995 Perfecta record, is perfection. Perfecta, you might say. Stone, the opening tune, is amazing. All Right, amazing. There's a lot of really slow, progressive building songs on it that are just incredibly beautiful and emotional. Off of the Dig record, I should say, River on Fire. Oh my God, that's a beautiful song. And then I think I want to play us out with a song they actually released at first on an acoustic unplugged record with a bunch of other bands. Poor Old Lou was on it. Dig Jesus was on it. Undercover, all these different bands. And then they put it out on Perfecta with more of an electric feel. And it is a tearjerker for me. I love it. And I wanted to play us out with it today.
It's time to go. It's time to say goodbye. Don't cry. It's why